All right, y'all. Welcome back. This is Lily Lavender and Jaybird. We've got back-to-back episodes this week. I'm introducing Gage over here. We work together, but we're basing this off of our topic yesterday.
We talked a few times yesterday about different situations and how to get out of them and calm ways to proceed with people that are rude. Today we're going to discuss different scenarios that we've all been put into where we've had to deflect and get out of our situations that are very, very uncomfortable. Rude people being one, but we've also had overly flirtatious people that we had to figure out good ways to get out of. Yeah. So, and then my buddy Gage over here has had a couple stories where he's had to get out of some certain situations, and we'll discuss different things on how to what we do or clever ways to get out of the situation. Mm-hmm. But having these conversations, everybody's definitely dealt with rude people or weird conversations. I know Lily over here has to get out of flirting a lot. As much as she says that she doesn't flirt, I mean, it's kind of part of our job. As much as she wants to bullshit and says "Oh, I'm just nice, it's so cool." No, you're not.
He's only trying to call me out because I called him out a bunch of times yesterday. No, this ain't gonna work.
Tit for tat. It's pot calling kettle black. I don't care what you say. As part of the job, she can say that she's just nice. She's not. She's in there for that dollar. But anyway, we got some cool stories, and I hope you enjoy the ride. But Gage, we were discussing earlier before we even came on this episode that we are all three different types of people when coming into dealing with different situations. Yeah. I've been called assertive. Yes. Which I kind of like the sound of that angle.
And apparently assertiveness comes with old age.
I did say that. We did discuss that, Gage is kind of catching up to me in years. This is definitely not a race that I want to win. but I have found along the way I'm not the same person that I was in my 20s. I am cocky now. Back in those days, I was cocky and thought I knew everything. I'm just cocky because I know what I know. In a weird way, I think that works. I play on words right there. So I've been considered assertive, which makes not aggressive, but I don't know. I'm the same way when I date. I know what I want when I want it. It's really that simple.
So apparently he knows how to handle tables.
I know how to handle. Yes. Yes, that sounds quite right there, Lily. We'll go from there. So we were also playing around to talk about different situations, and not all of them necessarily being bartending or just in a bartending or in a bar scenario. And I was talking to him earlier about a situation I was at a local bar in a town right next to us. Uh-huh. Sorry, I have to be vague because they have not disclosed the rights to say this story. But I'm going to tell it anyway because I'm a rebel. But me and a couple of buddies of mine, we were going out drinking. We were having a good time. And it was actually my buddy and his son. Now, his son was on leave from the military. He's a Marine, right? So he comes up, and we're all having a good time. And you can tell when we're starting to get mellow. You always hit that where your eyes start to glaze over and be like, oh, snap. Things about to get real. Things about to get fun. Here's what happened. So I'm standing there, music's tight, and this woman comes up to me. And this woman, if you're listening to this, I apologize, but this story's too good to miss out. But this woman was obviously older than me, quite a bit. So I'm 33, so it was her 60th birthday. And here's how we're going. So she comes up to me, and my buddy, we're all chit-chatting, and his son's sitting at the bar. We're both standing there. And she comes up and taps me on the shoulder. Uh-huh. And I was like, hey, how are you? And I am nice. So I was like, hey, how are you? And she was like, oh, I'm good. She was like, it's my birthday. I'm out celebrating. I was like, congratulations. That's awesome. And she kind of blushes, turns around and walks away. And I was like, all right, well, that was fun. And my buddy kind of looks at me. We go back to talking, shooting the shit, And she comes up to me again, and she was like, hey. She was like, I just had random questions. Or she was like, no. She was, I just want to tell you you're very, very cute. She's like, you're adorable. And I was like, I appreciate that. I don't hear that every day. I was like, it's nice hearing a compliment every once in a while. She blushes, turns around, walks away again. And at this point, my buddy is looking at me, and he's just got this puzzled look, like, oh, snap. Yeah. And I ain't gonna lie, the thing like wheels start turning in my head. I was like, oh crap, I don't know how to get out of this.
You're seeing all the scenarios.
Yeah, I'm playing it all.
How do I avoid this or her thinking too much?
Yeah. Like I'm trying to let her down easy already in my head. She comes up to me again. She was like, hey, I just had a random question. How do you feel about older women? And I was like, damn. I was like, so I told her, I was like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I've never really given it much thought. I am not opposed to the idea. I just have not processed this question in my head. So you give me, I didn't want to lead her on, but it sounded, the way I told that just now, it kind of sounded like it was. I just didn't know how to get out of it. And I told her, I just don't know. I've never really been put in that situation. I haven't put much thought into it. I apologize. And she blushes again, turns around and walks away. And my buddy looks at me and she's like, I think you might get some. And like just joke around. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to say. She came up to me again and she's like, well, just letting you know. She said, it is my 60th birthday. I do not want to leave here alone. And I am stuck. And she looks at me, she's like, are you single? And his son whipped around and like spun around in that bar chair. And he was like, hell yeah, she's single.
Gave you up real
Yeah,
quick.
threw me under the bus instantly. I was stuck. I was like, damn.
Here's the grenade button.
And his dad was just cracking up. He's dying. And she looked at me, she blushes, she kind of turns around and then whips back around. She was like, well, I just want to be upfront and honest. I don't know how else to be. I was like, that's probably, and I'm starting to stutter. I was like, that's probably the best way to be is blunt. And I feel like this is the easiest way this conversation is going to go. And she looks at me. She's like, well, I don't really like men my own age. I like them younger because they seem to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, honestly, I have this problem. I told her, I have this problem. I don't think I could be able to keep up like these old men do. I was like, I suffer from ED. And she looks at me and her face just melts. She was like, that was extremely honest. I was like, I feel like it's better to disappoint you now than to disappoint you later at the house. She walks away and my buddy is dying laughing. He was like, you didn't just tell her your dick don't work. I was like,
The nicest way possible.
I was like, I said it the nicest way possible, and honestly, I'm not 20 anymore getting it up for somebody that's that like
I might have ED under there.
yeah, that might be a real thing. Yeah. So and he's just
self-sabotage is sometimes the best way to get out of those situations.
That's right.
yeah. I think I was taking one for my personal team.
You're
like like I ain't trying to put myself away. I ain't trying to dig myself out of a hole. I figured like, yeah, why not? Well, I'll take a bullet. I'll take that $1 million woman. That's how they got out of Vietnam, right?
So we were having this conversation a couple weeks ago with Shock, and he was explaining the story to Shock.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did you just assume that that's what she was referring to? And Shock, what did Shock say?
What did Shock say? I don't even remember now.
He was like, there's no way she was offering that up and it wasn't about sex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He said there's different situations where it could have been something else that she was offering,
Yeah.
like a companionship or a date or like just going out and seeing the sights, or maybe he was trying to hook you up with her daughter.
But by the fact that she had stated that guys her age can't keep up, she was talking about sex.
That was threading the needle. Like you could, yeah, that was definitely, she was going for gold. It was 12 o'clock midnight at a bar where everybody's liquored out, everybody's dancing, everybody's feeling themselves, and she wants to not leave there alone.
Yeah.
She had one intention, and it was to take a baby. it was like,
Oh my God. Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, to whom it may concern, I make beautiful babies. Like,
My babies are beautiful, but
whatever. I'm sorry to break y'all's hearts. I am not having any more babies. I'm done.
neither am I.
We're all tapping out. I'm old now. Like, anyway. So so that was one of my ways of getting out of some situations. But it's definitely, that wasn't I guess I was assertive. I definitely took
That's what I'm saying. So okay, so I took it upon myself after reading those articles yesterday. I am now certified in diagnosing people and their communication skills. So
we got credentials.
So we know I'm passive aggressive when dealing with people. And that's actually how I live my normal life, is passive aggressive.
Honestly, I've told her several times that she would benefit in life if she'd be just a little bit more ghetto, a little bit more res. I think that, which don't get me wrong, those of you that know me, I have an attraction to certain crazy. I try to avoid it. I'm trying to work on that, as I personally am working on that. So, but when I say that you should probably be more ghetto, it's because of my personal experiences. So probably bad advice. I don't know. But to you women out there that know exactly what I'm talking about, can't wait to meet you. We'll see you soon.
And he'll find you in a bar.
Wow. I don't meet all of them at a bar. Could be at a work or a brothel. It could be
Anyway, so I labeled Jaybird as being assertive. That's why he had to tell you an assertive story. Now, Gage over here, I've labeled as aggressive in his communication skills.
It's beautiful.
But Gage hasn't always been this way.
You were not always aggressive.
Yeah, I think I'm just getting into 30, so I guess I feel like I'm more stern, but maybe I'm coming off aggressive.
Well, you've been in the service industry since you were 18, like starting washing dishes, worked your way up to bartending here lately, right? So you've got a pretty good idea of what it's like and how, in situations that are very, very uncomfortable, having to deal with certain guests. Yeah, like this is not
new.
Yeah, and I've worked in all parts of several different restaurants. I mean, from dishwashing, prep to main cook and front of house. Everything. I've been a key shift leader, so it's like you have some management codes and stuff, so you can handle some stuff or discounts and stuff, like deal with guests. So I've definitely dealt with being, I guess you can say, more submissive and just letting the guests be right. Or just, because, they say the guest is always right. But they are, like I said earlier, they are coming into our home. Like, this is where we're at most of the time during the week. And you come in being disrespectful, it's kind of hard. We're going to do our job. We're not going to, come off that way. But I think there's, just...
Well, this is our everyday life. This is, like, we have... You personally... Okay. When you walk into a place where we work, it's our job to accommodate you. But not to cater to you. It's not our job to bend over backwards to make your life better.
No, we're already doing that.
It sounds vague, and that sounds like a vague line, but it is my job to give you the best experience possible at the location that I'm working. That's my job. But it's not my job to change your life for you. No. Like, if you come in with a bad attitude and you come in angry and all this stuff, it's going to be highly difficult for me to change your mood. But it's not supposed to be my responsibility. No. Like, I'm supposed to offer you the best experience that I can possible. Yes. But I'm not your shrink.
This is therapy, and I'm not your emotional punching bag.
That's right. That's right.
And nobody likes being in a relationship where they're getting yelled at all the time just because you had a bad day. No. Has anybody ever listened to Bill Burr? Like, the comedian.
Yes.
Oh, and he's talking about like back in the day when he was talking about his old man yelling at his wife or whatever. He's like, where are those angels? He's like, where are those women that just, you come home from a bad day and you just wreck the whole house? You'd be like, and she'll make a perfect roast and you'd be like, God damn it. He's like, you burnt the shit out of it. And then they just sit there and take it, and you go home and you slam the door and leave behind me, and they just look up and she's like, well, and just locks the door behind and just leaves. She's like, she was a saint sent from God. Like, she was able to just take all that in the teeth and just lock him out of the house. And then he'd come back in after he just had his explosion, and she'd be like, okay, you ready to have supper? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm ready to have supper. Yeah. Which I've had several different experiences with that. Like, my mom, my aunt that raised me. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it takes a village kind of household growing up. So everybody took a huge part in raising me. I can remember great memories from all of them that played their part in raising me. Mm-hmm. And Lord help them, they did the best they could. I am what I am. whatever. Anyway, that's beside the point. Trailing off there. So I remember my aunt. She's the sweetest woman in the world, but seeing her angry is the scariest thing I've ever think of in my life. It's like I've never, and it's because it's so spontaneous. My mom, I know all the fuses. I know how to piss her off. I know how to get her all riled up. So her getting mad does not scare me. Like in some situations, I do shit to see her reaction because it makes me laugh. But my aunt is so scary because she's a prankster too. Like she'll mess with you. She used to tie June bugs to you, so they like chase you around the house and kind of stuff like that. So like old school prankster or whatever. So, but I remember one time my uncle came in the house, and I'm sure they're gonna be mad at me for telling the story, but it makes me laugh every time. But my uncle came in the house and he's liquored up and he's sitting on the recliner and he just starts laughing like hysterically. And my aunt's like, you better not do it. And he's just sitting there laughing and he's got a very distinctive cackle. Like you can hear it from 2 miles off and know it comes from him. And we're sitting there laughing. He's like, you better not. She's like, you better not pee in that damn chair. Oh my God. And apparently he knew all her fuses and I did not, but like I was laughing so hard, but like she was pissed. But that's just one of those like distinctive characteristics where you don't expect it, but it all like those scenarios where you can handle situations and they come out of nowhere. Like it's just one of those things that I've witnessed growing up. So handling people in crazy situations is not out of the norm for me. Like I said, we've discussed earlier that I've worked in security, I've bounced, I've been at dive bars, I've worked in a lot of jobs where being in heated arguments is a natural thing. Now that I'm older, I don't engage with those situations anymore as much as I used to. It used to be like if somebody got nose to nose with me, you'd have the natural testosterone reaction. Like, okay, like you're pushing me to this point. Yeah. You deserve what you get next. That was always my mindset.
I got one with Gage. It happened the other night. When my friend came in and sat at the bar. Yeah. You know which friends. So yes. She came in.
Yes. Holy crap! Sorry. Yes. Like we know this friend. I know. Okay.
So this is how I ended up realizing I was going to label Gage as aggressive is because of that instance. She did, but she
deserved this.
she started the fire, man.
She's a special kind of person, and not everybody is used to that. So she's very confrontational.
Real quick. So Gage is labeled as aggressive, and Lily is labeled as passive. Aggressive. This is the prime example. So we know this friend. All three of us know this person.
We do.
And she has done this to me.
Yes.
So when I say, I don't want to say it so harshly. When I say she deserves it, she does. Lily Lavender will tell you that she's just this type of person, and this is how she does. This is how her mind works. I love her to death. That's a big excuse.
Oh my God. Okay, it is not. So my friend, I love her. She's super sweet, but she's very abrupt, and it can come off as being confrontational.
The millennials out there call it bitchy, but we'll get there.
Oh my God. So anyways, Gage and I were both bartending that night, and I mean, we got slightly busy. It wasn't overwhelmingly busy. It was that night that you were like, I didn't know if we were sinking we were getting there in the weeds, but not quite yet. So my friend comes in, she sits at the bar, and she's there with her brother and her brother's wife. And Gage goes up. I had already gotten them drinks, and Gage goes up to them, and he's trying to clean around the bar to make it more presentable. Thank you. To help maintain things. Yes. And he goes to collect their glasses. And my friend was like, aren't you going to offer us more drinks? And Gage didn't know what they were drinking. So he was just going to let me, he was going to come talk to me about it and whatnot. But my friend did not give him the chance. She jumped down his throat. And it took all Gage had to not snap.
So there's different ways to ask for stuff that you want.
Yes.
All right. To all of you customers out there that are listening just to be listening, this is a message for you guys.
Yes. Don't.
There is a right way to ask for something and a wrong way. That was the wrong way.
That was a very wrong way. I will admit.
Yeah,
What
I would have said, I'm not saying it's the normal way or the correct way. I just feel like my way is a little bit more acceptable. I would have looked up and politely been like, "Hey, bud, do you mind if I get another round?" As he was getting up my glass.
Yes.
But usually I jump the gun. Like, I want another drink. You don't have to ask me. I'll tell you. I'm not aggressive about it. I'm assertive, apparently. But I would have been like, "Hey, bud, if you don't mind, let's get us all another round." I would want to do that.
And this is what we're drinking.
Yeah. Lightens the mood. We have a good conversation.
Yes.
We are good human beings.
Yes.
Like we call it.
And, honestly, that's all it takes is just like, they see, we are like the starlight there
Yes.
for everybody at the bar. Everything we do, they watch us.
watch.
And they see, us make our rounds of taking care of them, cleaning bar or making server drinks. It's a process. And
handling all the people that are walking up that aren't sitting at the bar.
And, they're usually pretty needy, which is understandable. They're waiting for a table and, just want to have a drink. That's cool. But, people just think, hey, as soon as you walk up, you get... I know growing up, like, going to bars, you respect your bartender.
Yes.
Like, you don't come up demanding stuff. I don't know what bars they've been going to, but I'm not going to, and I'm not a mean person. I can vibe with anybody, and I can have a conversation about anything. But I'm not going to let some of them just come up and just be demanding and stuff. So I feel like this is stern when I say, I will be with you in just a moment.
Yes.
Which it comes off me being, an asshole. But, I just got to take it as it is.
So now explain the situation in your own words. What happened?
With your friend?
Yes, what happened?
They said all our friends, but I've only met her a few times. But I feel like if you're coming to a bar like your friend works at, you should be pretty polite and respectful. But that's okay, and I can roll with it. But yeah, she made the comment about something about drinks. I said, "Well, I'll get with you when I can." And she made a comment about, "Oh, well, you're a bartender." I stopped for a second. I was like, "Okay, don't overdo it." I was like, "You know what? I am a bartender." And then I continued with the guests that have been there the longest. I was making sure they were okay, and then I'll make it, back to them.
To her.
Yeah. And yeah, by that point, I just told you to take over for them because I wasn't going to serve, which is also our main thing as being a bartender. If we don't have to serve you,
No.
I do not have to. I can tell and someone else can take care of you or something like that. So, why not start off on the right foot with someone that's, going to get your drinks, going to make your drinks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure being friendly with bartenders, your drinks are a lot better in some places.
Well, that's always been my mindset too. Like we've went drinking at several different places, and if you come off with a good attitude and you're acknowledged that they are human too,
How you approach it.
Yeah. You get a better service. They're excited to talk to you because you're sending off good vibes. You can be in a bad mood and be like, "Hey, boss, I just need another round. Whenever you're ready, take your time. I know you're working." They usually come to me first, regardless of the situation. Yeah.
We're watching. As bartenders, you're always looking around. You're always watching.
That's right. You are.
Well, that's another thing too. Is people will tell you that they bartended and I've done this, set this, and whatever. But you can always tell by the way they acknowledge your work ethic in behind bar, whether or not they bartended before. I can always tell if somebody's bartended before because they'll be like, "Hey, boss, I get it. When you get a second, give me another round. I'd appreciate it." And with that reaction, I'm going to assume that you've been in service at some point or another because it's horrible dealing with people that are needy and don't quite understand.
When people ever say like, "Just give me a minute," like whenever you got a minute, man, that makes me want to get your drink faster.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
And I love
duck on the June bug.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. This guy's gonna treat me right. He gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anybody that's just like, I want, and nobody's ever snapped their fingers at me. There's that one thing. There's that one thing that'll like turn. If you want to flip a switch with me, man, snap your fingers. I'll lose my mind.
You gotta get some kind of service.
No, that happened to me a couple weeks ago over there. And it was this lady, and she was older. And one of the servers was like, hey, can you make her a really good lemon drop? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. Well, apparently, like, the bar was full. It was a Friday. And I was trying to get to the ticket as fast as I could, but I was, dealing with the bar top too.
Well, they know that we make the drinks for the whole restaurant and our bar guests, plus people
We're right
walking
there in
up.
the middle of the room. Like, how can you not know that?
Yeah.
But the lady, apparently 3 minutes was just too long for her to wait. Oh my God. So she came up to the open side of the bar and she snapped her fingers at me because I was turned around the other way making cocktails. I was doing my fucking job. So I remained professional. I was calm. And I turned around, I walked over to her, and I politely stated, so apparently I'm your butler now.
Oh, I would have been way more petty.
I actually cannot believe you said that.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Oh, so now I'm your butler?
Now you're finally a smart ass.
Yeah, get her!
Oh my God, I totally forgot this fucking happened too.
We're expanding your label now.
Because there were so many other things that had happened that night that I was getting frustrated with. So I completely forgot about this. But it changed her mood around. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, I see you're busy.
Oh, yeah, now you see I'm busy. Now
Yes.
But
Just imagine what would have happened if you didn't assert that, like, just a little funny, smart-ass aggression.
So
She probably would have kept running all over
What
you.
sucks though is that was probably the best reaction that could have happened played out, right?
And I didn't even mean it. It was just sarcasm that came out because I was frustrated with the situation.
In my head, the one thing that I could have thought of that I would have done, and it was a first reaction thing, is that I would have made the lemon drop that she had requested and then came up to her and be like, this looks glorious, and tip it over and dumped it out right in front of her. Like, that's some petty ass shit that I would have done. Be like, oh damn, I slipped. Oh, I'll make you another one in 5. Like,
Well, the whole horrible part was her ticket was next. It was next. So she was like, I'm sorry, I see you're busy. And I was like, I am. May I help you? And she said, I just wanted to know where I was with my drink. And I told her, I had asked her, what did you order? And she was like, I ordered that lemon drop. And I was like, it's the next ticket. It'll be right up.
yeah, grinding your teeth. And shit. You're like,
Where
why wasn't it before that? Why?
brought up where that was okay?
Yeah, no
Oh
kidding.
my God.
If my grandpa or my dad or any of my relatives ever had seen me snapping my fingers wanting attention, they would have beat the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah.
They would have lost their damn mind.
Yes.
I remember one time I was at Shoney's. I remember I was a kid. I was probably like 8 years old, and I was back then that was a full
Love
shoot.
Shoney's,
Yeah, and then there was the only place around that had fried bologna. I was a king, man. But we were eating breakfast. The whole family was there, and I ain't gonna lie, I was showing my ass. I was 8 years old. I was a little shit back then, and I was running around the tables. I was picking at people's plates and stuff. My uncle got up, wore my ass out at the table, just beat me right there at the table. And I sat down. I don't think I've ever had that problem since. Never done that before. But that was good raising. You don't see me doing that shit now.
No.
Yeah, so I can't imagine just walking up to somebody you don't even know and start snapping your fingers for a second. And that's a trigger for me. That's that would be like beating on the bar top trying
Well,
to
hell, apparently it's my trigger too, and I'm not even realizing it till now.
That would probably be anybody's trigger. I know, this is kind of a side story, but it kind of follows along with like how you act in a restaurant. It was my stepmother's birthday. We were having dinner, and my dad had invited his friend and his wife. Well, he comes in, he's like, oh, well, this is just taking too long. And there's people around us eating. He just goes and grabs like a 4 or 6 top table and just starts dragging it across the floor.
Whoa.
I looked at my dad. I shook my head. He like pulled it up to the table, and I just got up and I left.
Oh my god!
Because I could not deal with how rude that was of him to do that.
Yeah.
And people do it all the time. Like the other location that you and I had worked at.
Oh, yeah.
People would move those tables left and right.
Yeah,
Not
they
even, just like that owned the place. They didn't even ask nothing. Nor did they put it back when they left.
Yeah. Which this may be confrontational, and I apologize. I'm not sorry. I apologize that this bothers you. We've discussed this in the last episode, what this means. But I apologize, but I am pro beating. Like, if you got a kid that's as low, like absolute dick, like wear them out.
Yes.
Like, but I remember we were working at that other location that we were talking about, and I was cooking then, like I was helping out back then. And me and my buddy, it was an event that was going on where there were kids everywhere. And any of you that's ever been in the restaurant business where kids are everywhere is an absolute fucking nightmare.
And it's a bar, okay? It's a dive bar.
Yeah, it's a dive bar, but we serve food, and they have a dining section where kids are allowed to be. And it's a disaster every time. But I was so stoked at this mom because it was the middle. It was packed, and this little girl was screaming at the top of her lungs. Granted, if your child is screaming in the middle of a restaurant where everybody else is trying to have a really good time, do something about it. I don't care what you have to do, but don't pat her on the head and be like, please don't do it. Do something. Do something. But
switches, bro.
yeah, they picked up your switch. That's a mental hatred, man. You figure you go outside and get this little bitty twig, and your dad go back out and get this damn tree.
Oh my god! Yeah, we had bamboo branches and rice, hard rice.
Rations, that stuff you see in the Vietnam movies. But so we're watching this kid scream at the top of her lungs, and finally her mom just had it, stood up, and just same thing with me, just beat the hell out of her. And she stopped, she sat in there, and me and my buddies dying laughing, like we're mocking this kid behind the kitchen. We were like, "That's right, get your shit together." We were doing that, dude. We were so excited. I was like, "Hell yeah, that's parenting right there." I love it, we were giving her prompts. I hope she never thought that we were condescending about it, because we were damn, like that was, because everybody else was just dead silent throughout the whole room, like, oh, I'm appalled that you would hit your kid, and we're just like, damn, why didn't you do it 5 minutes ago? Anyway, we got a little sidetracked on that, but that's a huge sign of respect, like, to have for other people and where you're at. Like, it's not the world's place to accommodate you.
No.
And I tell my kids all the time, and it's harsh. My buddies have told me it's harsh, whatever. But I always tell them, like, because my buddies will tell me that, like, you're really, really hard on your kids. And I'll tell them, listen, the world's not going to take it easy on them. They should learn that now. Yes. The world's not going to take it easy on them. Neither am I.
But here's the key. The key is the children are not scared, but they respect you. Yeah, there's a humongous difference.
It's not a fear thing at all. No. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not putting you in this situation so you're scared of me. No. I'm doing this situation. I'm letting you know that this behavior is not okay. Like, you see how I treat people when they're about it. Like, if me not leading you by example is not doing it, I have to set a different kind of example so you acknowledge that it's not okay. So
we take this with us when we're working. We do the same thing behind the bar or serving. Like, it's the same thing.
Well, it's real kindergarten shit. Yes. It really is. Like, they tell you at an early age, be like, treat people how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
It really is that simple. And what blows my mind is, like, they'll egg you on. Like, people egg you on and talk shit to you and then act surprised when you snap back at it. Like, that's my favorite. Like, don't be blown away because I just returned the favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you just told me that you are better than me, or that you outrank me, or that you, in a weird way, you own me by acting the way that you do, and that you were surprised that I snapped back at you.
Exactly.
Like, problem is the generation's getting really, really soft. I feel like the rest of the world's getting soft, so people are allowed to get away with shit that they weren't allowed to get away with 10, 20 years ago. Like, the shit where, like, I remember an age where you could come up and if you went nose to nose somebody just pissed you off, you went nose to nose with somebody, that you either charged in or you backed up. Yeah. Like, you either knew you were in the wrong, you backed up, or you were afraid of that dude, you backed up, or you made a statement, like you threw hands with that guy. Yeah. But I can't name how many friends that I have now that we fought tooth and nail and we were best friends forever after. Like still best friends. And like I'll talk to my buddy all the time and he'll be like, remember that time I whooped your ass doing all this? And I was like, I don't remember that story being like that. Blah 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 blah.
That's not how it went in my head. No, I don't think so.
I remember us both getting bloody. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Whatever. If he tells you this story, it's a total lie, by the way, if you ever run into this guy. But, like, I feel like that generation is still needed. Like, that's a hot, but I ain't gonna lie. I'm a huge fan of, like, Clint Eastwood and Sam Elliott and all those, all the greats in life that everybody is just appalled of, like, how they would say stuff or what they're saying. I feel like that raises strong men. You know, like, in my life, like, if you're not hard like that and you don't, like, set those boundaries and let know, because... Like,
this is where your assertiveness comes from.
Age.
Yeah.
I knew you were leading up to that. I always got like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not ready. I'm always ready to fight. That's not a big deal. Like, but I'm not going to push a fight, and we've discussed this earlier. Like, if you want to be in a fight in a location like that, you'll get in one. It's really that simple.
It's because that's what they're looking for.
But if you respect people enough and acknowledge where they're coming from and push yourself in those situations, you can talk your way out of those things. And we've discussed this earlier. I am assertive, but I like to lead you in a long, big loop to let you know that I know that you're an asshole.
Yes.
And we discussed that. Like, I've had people come up to me like, hey, I want this now. I'll be like, all right, bud, I'll get it as fast as I can. I'll be like, well, the steak's not fast enough. I'm like, man, I apologize. Cooking a well-done steak does take some time. Like, that's what I can do. Like, you know, and they'll be like, oh, well, like these mashed potatoes are cold. I was like, you know what? I slipped up. Let me go cook you another batch because that's my job. Like, and then we'll circle around. And then before we know it, and they'll be like, you know what? This is terrible service. You know what? Like, I apologize that I couldn't give you the best experience possible. Something must have been in the water or whatever. And then most of the time I'll get a really, really good tip because they've acknowledged they fucked up. Yes. Like, they acknowledge that I'm not Superman as much as I'd like to tell people I am. Like, that, you know, that situation just didn't play out. You just had a bad experience. There were mistakes made on both sides. Well, we'll say it like that. Yes. But, like, you were an asshole. I didn't get it done. I didn't accommodate you the way I should have. But, like, at the end of the day, we're all human. And there's not a whole lot that can be done about a situation that comes up. No. But here's the other side of the tracks, and I'll give these douches like a point in their favor. I understand that, and I'm gonna hit some hard notes real quick. I understand that we're in a generation of lazy people. Yes. I'm sorry for those that you can't handle the truth, but those days of working 12, 13 hours just to make ends meet, that's not something that these new generations are accommodating or know anything about. No. You know, like, I've worked at probably some of the most hard labor intensive jobs that you could think of, from practice factories to oil rigs to like random off the wall stuff. You know, I've worked in construction. I've done framing. I've got scars from when I got like a lot of different things. But and there were days that I'd put in 13, 14 hours because it was necessary. Yeah. All right. The generation of people understanding what that world's like is dying. It's dying. Yeah. Everybody wants the whole world to accommodate them. The world has no history in, like, you go as far as the Bible. Yeah. The world has no history of accommodating anybody. No. Life itself is a horrible, horrible thing, and it'll kick you down. It'll beat you down bloody. It'll do the worst things to you. So you can either acknowledge that this is what life is and do the best of your situation, or you can do what this new generation is doing and complaining and hoping that the world favors you. It's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to be. Yeah. You work for what you got.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's how my grandparents, like my papa, if I ever needed anything, well, yeah, but you're going to work for it.
Yeah. I've heard that my whole life. Yeah, absolutely. And I've told everybody this. I will never make promises that I can't keep. But I will not tell you. Like, if I tell you I'm gonna help you, I'm literally telling you I will help you to the best of my ability, that where it doesn't hurt me mentally or physically. So, and that's what people, and it blows my mind. And it'll be some of my closest friends, usually younger, but they'll be like, "Well, you could have done this." But at what cost am I sacrificing to help you with a situation where there's no return? And I'm not asking for a return, but I'm not asking to sacrifice myself to get you there. Yeah. And I think that's selfish and greedy to ask somebody to do such things. And we live in a generation where people, and I apologize in advance for these people that are going to take offense to this, but like, if you're dependent on your parents to take care of your rent, and you're granted, like if you're in your teens and you're going to college and whatever, you're doing something for your life and they're helping you get there.
Yes.
I am not going to discredit you or hate on you for doing that. Absolutely not. But if you're in your 30s or your 40s and you're supposed to have your shit figured out, you don't have a job and you're dependent on mommy and daddy to fix things for you, like that's not the way the world's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Something went off when you were
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah, like you couldn't get your shit together. Like, granted, I've went through hard times, even in later in life, and I am very, very fortunate for the family that I have. They've taken me in situations that I shouldn't have put myself into. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm still human, and I was blessed with good family to help me out there. But look at the end of the result. I have my own place. I have my own job. I've been working nonstop to get me where I am now. I can't say that I've done it without help, but I can say that I put in the work. You know, and that's just something that the world is lacking now.
Yeah, and all of it is a lesson learned. So you're learning as you go along, and you're adjusting to it, and you change some things about it, and you just go on. You don't hold anyone else accountable for anything in your life. You take accountability for it yourself.
And we'll have a different episode about this conversation later, but we've discussed at length, should you be accountable for everybody else's drunken actions? If you've been drinking for a while, you know what you do when you're drunk. Either somebody's told you or you've witnessed firsthand what your actions are capable of doing. I think it should be your responsibility, and we'll discuss this at a later date. It should be your responsibility to control your actions. Now, if you got a problem, you shouldn't be there to begin with. You know, not to be harsh, not to be a dick about it, but if you can't control your own actions, you shouldn't be in an environment where your actions could flourish and damage goods, or like put yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in.
Yeah. Like every time you go out, you get black out, you're fighting or something like that. You need to avoid getting to that point, or even going out in general.
Exactly.
If you've already done that 2 or 3 times, obviously you've developed a habit and your history of it. Like, and this is the things that people will start recognizing you for. And for those people that don't know, like, you've been told. So like whether you escaped 1 or 2 times having a bad night or having a good night, and you think that, and granted, good memories are great, but if you have a history of doing such things, take yourself out of the situation. Don't put yourself in it to where you're impeding on somebody else's life. There's no, and like, I understand this sounds very douchey, but don't put yourself in a situation where you're hurting the people around you. Like, don't go, if you're got a history of fighting and getting angry and pushing people's buttons. Like, for me in general, I can't drink tequila. Everybody will argue the fact that, like, tequila does, or like certain alcohols don't change your mood. I don't get mean when I'm on tequila. I get aggravating. Like, if I drink, exactly that. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that'll come up and just sit there and I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. When I'm drinking tequila, and then when you finally start swinging on me, I'm fighting, but I'm laughing the whole time. It's great. I got the reaction that I want. That's why I don't drink tequila. Unless somebody really, really pushes it on me, and then I'll get 2 of them in. I'll be like, all right, peace out, guys. I'm going to go aggravate my dog for 2 hours. I know. And honestly, this does come with old age. Yeah. But, like, this is the things that I've learned about myself. So I just know that I'm going to stick with my buddy Jameson. You know, like, that's where I want to go. That's my go-to. Yeah, and I'll try some different things. If it has tequila, like, I know my limits, but I won't push them anymore, because why? Well, and there's no benefit to it either. No. You know, like, there's no benefit to getting thrown out of bars that you actually enjoy going into. And which, don't get me wrong, I was younger and I've been thrown out of bars, but I wasn't that young for the last time. But like, that was different. That was a story for a different time. We'll discuss this later. But I've been thrown out of bars. I've made a fool of myself. I've done different things that I'm not proud of, and good stories we'll talk about later. But that's just kind of the situation and generation we are. But in short, though, just know your limits and pay attention to the people around you, and respect the people that are around you.
Be kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love doesn't hurt.
Be nice. Always.
ELE, is that what Will Ferrell says? Everybody love everybody.
Everybody. Yes.
Thunder, yes.
Nice. That's exactly it. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, and like, there's there's nothing like having a really, really good experience in a bar setting. I enjoy it. Like, if you can have a great time, this is the environment I love. This is what I fight for every single day. If I come out where I can just and pay my bills and enjoy my life, and you make a good experience just as much as I did for you, that's what the job's all about.
Yes.
Like, that's what it's supposed to be. Like,
It's not bending over backwards to cater to your every whim.
no, that's a butler and a servant, and
We don't get paid enough.
we don't. Absolutely not.
Definitely don't get paid enough for that, and you're definitely not going to tip us enough for that.
Absolutely. Like, if I'm catering for you hand and foot, we're not having a good time. This is just as uncomfortable for me as it is for you. Yeah, like that's like hitting on somebody that's just really not that into you. Like, we're both uncomfortable. This is cool. Like, same situation. If you want me to pamper you your whole day, and this is what makes you happy, you're not in the right place. Like, don't go to a bar for that. Well, and don't go for a restaurant for that. That's not what they're there for.
Should just work in a restaurant at some point in their life, and they'd be a lot nicer to the service industry. They'd understand.
That's been said by every single service person
Yes.
ever. Everybody that's ever been a waitress or a bartender for a long period of time, they and I honestly, like, I would suggest that, like, if you really want to know what we're talking about on a regular basis, and you're not in service industry right now, pick up a side hustle, pick up a side job, and try this out.
Yeah,
And
do it once a week. God, hard time. It doesn't take much. Yeah.
Minimum do this for 3 or 4 months, but like, you'll have a blast. There's experiences that you can get in a bar or in a restaurant that you can't get anywhere else. Absolutely. But you're also going to see the worst side in people that just like, that you're like, holy shit, can people really act like that?
Yes. And then you start really realizing things about yourself, and you're like, am I really one of those people that do that?
Oh, wow. I really think so. Like, I really am self-conscious about how I treat people when I'm outside of it. I really, really try to over-exaggerate not being a douche when I go enjoy like my nights out. Like, I think that's important to self-reflect and you know, whatever. So I think all this stuff is important.
But so Gage's situations, what have you done or have you noticed working as a bartender that people do that have changed how you communicate with people?
I mean, really, it's after so long, you just naturally are really good at reading people. I'm like, you know, I vibe off people. I feel the vibes, and you know, there's some people that come in and just are not going to have a good time. So all you got to do really is just stay calm and just cool and just go through the motions of you know what they want, what they need, get them in and get them out. But some people come in and their mindset is to
Ruin somebody's day.
They do.
And it's not like we come into their job, you know, acting a but I guess people just do it everywhere, honestly. So there's going to be that person anywhere you work.
I just want to see. I want to just see this, and if anybody can put some feedback, if any of you guys are a doctor or a lawyer or something that has to deal with these kind of people, I just want to see y'all's point of view on all this stuff.
Yeah,
I want to see the smart ass go to a doctor and be like, "You're going to do this now," and watch you get stabbed by like somebody's vaccine. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the doctor's probably just super stern with them. Like, no, that's not how this works. You need to go through the proper process.
Well, I mean, you hear stories about how people do act that way with nurses.
I have been a smart ass to a nurse.
Yeah. So, and that is,
and I paid the price.
that is like the ultimate customer service position possible.
I remember one time I was supposed to get a vaccine, like some kind of vaccine. It was when I was younger though, and I was in my teens. I was a smart ass. Yeah, when they were safe. Wow. Well, and she was like, well, I got to give you the shot, and I was like, all right. She was like, I need you to drop your drawers, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, yeah, I need you to drop them, and well, that's what I said. I was like, how far do I need to drop this? She was like, just pull your pants down, and like, 'cause she was going to give me a shot in the butt, like, and she kept telling me over and over again, and like again, I was a smart ass, and I was like, all right, and I dropped them all the way down to my ankles, and I was like, is this far enough? I seen this woman's shadow, man. She like ran, like she could have ran and like stabbed me. Got all the way to the freaking. I got a big butt, like for the most part, but like she hit the bone, man. She was mad at me. And I couldn't sit down for like 3 freaking hours, man. Like I was sitting lopsided. I got home and I laid on my stomach. Like there was nothing touching that area. That was awful. But I deserved that.
You learn to be nice to your nurses.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was funny. She thought I was funny after the fact. It was great. Like she got to watch me limp out of there, and I got a good laugh. It was great. We were best friends forever.
But there are a lot of times that people go to the bar and they think they're being funny. They'll make like some snide comment or some sexual innuendo or something, racial slurs, and they think they're being funny. Like last night, that guy, one of the gamblers, came in and I already know that they're not going to tip just based off of what I know from him being there, what he's doing. Yeah. And so it's one of those occasions where I had to work really hard for my tip. Yeah. I had to be professional, remain calm, be as nice as possible. I was accommodating as possible. And he just kept flirting with me. Yeah. And towards the end of it, he was like, so what do you think is a good tip? How much should I leave you? And I was like, man, I'm happy with $5. It doesn't matter as long as I know that you enjoyed this experience and everything was great. And he was like, well, you know, I normally have my wife with me and she's the one that tips. And I was like, yeah, that's usually how it goes. But he was like, I can't tell my wife that, you know, I had a beautiful bartender. I was like, well, make sure you also don't tell her that you had a sex by the creek with your bartender. Yeah, very smart. But I was professional. I didn't say anything I wasn't supposed to say.
And there's a difference. Bartenders, if you've been bartending for a while, you know what you can get away with, and you know what's, and I say get away with, but you know what's kind of necessary.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and you know your limits. And that goes for people that are buying drinks or that are customers in this industry. Keep in mind, if you're telling jokes and all that stuff, read the room. Like if you tell a joke and all of a sudden you hear crickets, stop talking. Yeah. If you flirt and you don't get a reaction, or if you don't get the reaction that you're thinking that you're going to get, stop. Just stop. You're embarrassing yourself, and you're making this weird for me, by the way.
God, it was super weird, and that opened the door for the rest of the gamblers to fucking flirt with me. And it was very uncomfortable. I was not happy, but at the same time, some people just think they're so funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm funny. I have my moments, all the time.
If you're a bartender, you gotta be kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's at a later date. We got an actual special episode for that.
We do. So, have you had an experience where it was extremely uncomfortable for you?
Anybody got a butt yet?
I've definitely had an older lady. She was shooting her shot over and over, probably to the point of I snuck out the back of the restaurant and left for an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah, until she left, because she would keep coming back in, go around just waiting for me.
Oh God.
Oh, bless you, old women.
Yeah. And I always, I was nice and polite to her. It just, got to the point where she wasn't getting no means no.
Yeah.
So, I'd come up with every excuse in the book, and she just, kept trying and trying. So
and you were so nice.
Getting sexy harassed.
I even told the bar, I was serving serving this lady, but she had cashed out with me, and then I thought I was done with it. She went to the bar. I even told the bar, I was like, dude, every drink you give her, she's getting more and more aggressive with me. Why don't you just cut her off?
Yeah.
So they eventually did, but yeah, she was just standing out in the parking lot waiting and stuff. So
creepy.
Yeah, so I left my vehicle there and actually had a buddy come pick me up, and I just left out. I left out the back of the smoking area.
Yeah.
That's advice I would give any bartender or server chick.
Yes.
But it never dawned on me, until you're in that situation, it never dawns on you that it could happen to a man. Yeah, and it's bless your heart. We just don't want to hurt an old woman. It's not like we can go out to our car. You keep grabbing on me and stuff, and I can throw hands.
No one's gonna help me if I'm in the parking lot. Say help.
Yeah, and nobody's gonna understand if you push one out of the way. Oh, you just tripped her. You just she was with a cane. She's her purse already weighed 40 pounds, and you had to go and shove her out of the way. Wasn't there a nicer way? Yeah. Shit turns on you really quick. Like,
It does. It really does.
But I've had great elderly people too. Like, older lady with a cane, she would tap me with it and stuff. She was just the sweetest. And her and her husband would come in like 2 days out of the week. I think it was like Thursday and another day, just every week.
Oh my
and
God.
They just became good friends with every server, all the managers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, you can meet the best in any different demographic. Like where people say that, those people are just like that. They're always going to be like that. No, that's not ever going to be the scenario. Whether you be old or young or mixed race or women or men versus different. Like you can play the argument as much as you want to. Yeah, there's good and bad in every single crowd. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, you may follow the crowd in situations. Peer pressure. I ain't going to ignore the fact that peer pressure is a real thing. Yeah. But like as a whole. You can pick any single niche or demographic that's out there, and you can find the best and the worst in everybody.
Yeah, you can. But it's equally in everyone. But I think that we're gonna wrap it up for today. Obviously, we had a whole lot of fun with this episode.
Gage, we'd like to have you back, and we'll do another episode soon. But guys, we love you, and tune in next week. Can't wait to do it.